Yo, what's up? My name's Patrouski, and today I wanted to do sort of a ramble style video talking just about how integral Hordes have been to PokeMMO and how important and crucial they have been to the growth and just, I guess, making it a playable game, honestly, to such an extent where before Hordes, so many things were considered impossible or were kind of laughed at as even like just, why would you waste your time doing that? One of the biggest things being shiny hunting. For those who don't know, Hordes are essentially groups of multiple Pokemon appearing before you at one time. Kind of showing off a couple of them here in the background. You run around, go to different locations, and can summon them by using the Sweet Scent hotkey. Up here, you're able to hotkey your Sweet Scent, which is a really big deal. I have my Ursaring here with Sweet Scent. You click the star next to it, you hotkey it. It's a nice, fun time. Being able to summon hordes of multiple Pokemon appearing before you increases the speed and efficiency of so many things, from EV training to XP training for casual play to shiny hunting for casual play, or even shiny hunting for high levels of play, depending on what locations you are at. Now, before Hordes existed, there was really only single encounters. That was it. I don't even believe that there was double wild encounters in the battle, because double wild encounters, to my knowledge, if I'm correct, as well as Hordes, were both introduced in Gen 5 double wild battles were introduced, and I think Gen 5 might have introduced Hordes, but I think Gen 6, I'm not quite sure on the traditional games, but PokeMMO needed Hordes because back in the day, and I've made videos talking about this, how crazy slow the game was, and how, if you think PokeMMO is grindy now, I can't even explain to you how grindy it was before, where it would take you around 10 hours to EV train one stat on a Pokemon to maximum. So to EV train a Pokemon in 252 special attack, for example, you would have to go to Lavender Tower, run back and forth on those super slow Ghastly encounters, which were really low encounter rate, and you also couldn't bike in that location. You'd have to kill them one by one, hope that occasionally you encounter a Haunter and get that +2. It was brutal. It would take you 10 hours or so just to encounter that one, or just to EV train up that one stat. Nowadays, you can EV train an entire stat on 4 Pokemon at once, 5 Pokemon at once with all the XP shares in 15 minutes. 15 minutes compared to 10 hours is just insane. And it's important because it's definitely gotten a lot easier. And I think that is something that is, there can be said there's some loss of value there, but I think it was just too insane before. And I think that nowadays, the ease of access lets more people come into the game. I think that Hordes have opened up PokeMMO to the masses in a lot more ways. Even shiny hunting. People constantly think PokeMMO is still too hard to shiny hunt in, like even with Hordes. Can you imagine what people thought about it before Hordes? Before Hordes, people just laughed at shiny hunting because it was essentially just quote-unquote shiny hunting back in 2013 on PokeMMO was just running back and forth in grass and running away from single encounters, running with Pokemon. It was laughed at. It was seen as not really a thing, but there's a few who did it. But now Hordes have made it a little more mainstream. People can more so casually encounter shinies, and Hordes are just really important for any type of player. They speed up progression. They speed up the game. They make things a little more streamlined. They feel more efficient as well. And I think Hordes also make the game feel a lot more like an MMO. Having that hotkey bound and having that ability bound and doing this sort of, I guess, function, or how do I explain it? Almost this pattern of clicking. You know, for me, I click my 3 key, I let it load up, I press my SD to go down to the bottom right-hand corner, then I press Z quickly to, run it from the battle. It's this sort of repetition that MMOs build with muscle memory and everything. I think it was pretty core to the PokeMMO gameplay to build this sort of repetition, and that's important. It's important to have that. And repetition was, existed before, but it was a lot more bare bones. Obviously, you can consider this pretty bare bones. We still have to manage and keep track of things with Hordes. You aren't managing or keeping track of anything when you're just doing single encounters back to back to back. With Hordes, you're keeping track of your number, your PP. You have to see if you want a Lepa berry or not. Maybe you're keeping track of your Lepa berries. Maybe you're figuring out when to go back to heal, etc., etc. I really think Hordes just opened the game up to more consistent play, more fair play, and I think it brought more people into the game. People with families, with jobs, they don't have 10 hours to EV train one stat on one Pokemon. That's just absurd. They can hop on, for, let's say, the average player, the average casual player could probably hop on for, I would say, at least 3 hours a week or so. Probably, let's do more than that. Let's say 1 hour a day. So if the average player can play 1 hour a day, that's pretty fair, right? 1 hour a day if you're really into the game, if you're really enjoying it. 7 hours a week. So within 3 weeks, you're going to reach 21 hours. within 4 weeks, you're going to reach 28 hours. It takes, on average, playing efficiently, around 30 hours to get a shiny in PokeMMO if you're doing ×5 hordes near PC, because you usually average around 1,000 encounters per hour. Now, it's still going to take the average person around a month to get one shiny, right? Which is pretty brutal. It's pretty brutal, but that's obviously if you're playing 1 hour a day. Let's say on the weekends, you're able to play, 3-5 hours a day. It quickly increases that pace. I think it's really realistic for anyone to play this game now. And I think PokeMMO has really opened up to the masses when Hordes existed. Back in the day, it was just so impossible. Like, no one... I think nowadays it's possible for anyone to get a shiny, which just hasn't been the case and wasn't the case for most of PokeMMO's lifespan. I really think that nowadays anyone can get a shiny. You can. I know it can feel like it's impossible. One out of 30,000 is a crazy rate, off the top of your head, but I promise you can. You can average 1,000 encounters per hour if you're efficient. Obviously, making sure you do location that is close to a PC, that is ×5 horde, is really going to speed things up. It's crazy how quickly it becomes a lot longer of a hunt, or it becomes a lot more difficult when you start doing ×3 hordes near a PC, or ×3 hordes that need Leppas, or then, let's say, single encounters. It quickly becomes a lot longer of a hunt. But if you're able to do ×5 hordes near a PC, you can do so many encounters per hour. It becomes very, very quick, and I think it was super crucial for the game. I think the speed needed to be picked up for the average player, for the casual player. It allows shiny hunters to not sit there and shiny hunt just for one Pokemon for their entire career and for their entire life. Like, I can't tell you the amount of people who just, like, they were shiny hunters. You were a shiny hunter if you had like 1 or 2 shinies, like back in the day. Nowadays, like, I know shiny hunters that have over, one specific one who has over 100 OT shinies. Do you know how unbelievably impressive that is and how unbelievably cool that is to me? I think that is like super, super impressive and just super incredible to see that we can now start really collecting shinies. Not going for a living dex or anything, that would still take way too long. But it's cool that we can reach these insane numbers, and it's cool that things became a lot more realistic due to Hordes. I think Hordes made the game a lot more fair, a lot more realistic, a lot easier. And I'm usually against things becoming easier for the sake of becoming easier, but I think this was an important change. I think this was bringing ease to actually make the game playable. I literally think Hordes made PokeMMO playable, and I think without Hordes, PokeMMO would be a lot worse of a game. I think it'd be a lot grindier for no reason, honestly. I think the management of the resources is fair enough and worth it. So I really liked Hordes. It was a really big change, and I make this video because when Hordes first came out, I definitely was against them. I definitely was like, prone to hating the change, and I was worried. I loved this game. I cared about this game. I was really scared about any sort of big change like this. I was like, oh, like shiny hunting's so easy now. It's cheap. It's ruined. But it's still tough. It's still consistent. There are still tons of difficult hunts out there. Single encounter hunts are still difficult. There are still Pokemon that need to be egg hunted, or, etc., etc. And I really think shiny hunting and just encounters themselves in PokeMMO are at the most balanced state they've ever been at. I think anyone can get a ×5 horde shiny. It's a bit more difficult to get a ×3 horde, and then single encounters are kind of reserved for those pretty determined shunters, and then egg shunts are reserved for the elite, the 0.01% of players, and then Shedinja secret shinies or shiny Shedinja is reserved for the insane. I think that is the natural progression of different challenges of shunts that we have now in PokeMMO, and I think it's really cool to actually have a progression in like a set of a staircase, I guess, of stages, as opposed to only having one option, as opposed to just running back and forth in grass over and over and over again and making no progress and going nowhere. I think we've added playability, we've added elements of progression of difficulty with shiny hunting, which I think is so cool. Now, this video has definitely just been a pretty hard ramble. Hopefully it's been entertaining enough to warrant you guys sticking around. If you did stick around, I really appreciate it. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out more videos like this. Discord link is down below. Everything's down below, linked below. I appreciate you guys' time. Appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm going to encounter this Jumpluff horde, I believe, or Jigglypuff, excuse me. And then that'll be it. Thank you all so much. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.